I'm done hiding this. I definitely had some moments of feeling alone and nobody understood. I said, were you listening to those vows when they did you listen to the sickness and health part? I don't recall it. And
Wow.
he said he's so funny. I heard him tell the guys, "That's why I got her. That's why I got her. She's bold. I can go right now and park in a handicap spot, and somebody will look at me funny because I look just fine. Can I just get a little bit of something? I don't drive. I can't go nowhere. Everybody has their own life. Everybody's not here to make sure that they see Kathleen. I wanted for us to be friends, you know. I wanted for us to stay friends because you know what? Kids grow up. Your story is important to somebody. When you get married, make sure you find the person that's going to be in the hospital room with you.
Welcome to Sex Ed for Saints, where we get candid about love, sex, wellness, and relationships. Just so you know, I am Tammy, a wife, a mother, best-selling author, your favorite intimacy and relationship coach, the host of this fantabulous podcast where we're going to promote sex and still keep it God. And I got a question for you. Have you ever wished that someone had taught you more about sex from a faith-filled perspective? Or have you ever had questions that no one could answer? Or felt like if you knew then what you know now, you might have made some decisions a little different? Well, let me tell you, you are not alone. This podcast is dedicated to just that. We're going to fill in the gaps. We're going to break some silence and help you to grow in godly intimacy without shame. And y'all, I am so excited because I have Weighty Kathleen on the stream today. Weighty. I am so excited, y'all. Listen, this one right here is going to go down in the books because we have Wedding.
I am here. I am
Wedding.
here.
Kathleen, Kat, all the names. Listen, she has been my big sister, my sister, all the things. She would come to me and she'd be like, Tammy, what you know about sex, girl? Why I can't even look at you like that. You too little to be talking about sex. And now here she is on my podcast.
Yes, I am.
Talking about all the things. Now, before we get into it, today's gonna be I'm not even sure how the direction of the conversation is gonna go really. But I wanted to talk about in sickness and in health. That's the topic, in sickness and in health. And you know, we're gonna get into why in just a second. But I always do like a myth and truth segment. And so I'm just going to ask you some myth and truth, and it's going to give the listeners a direction of where we're going to take the podcast. And so for the first question that I have is, let's see, myth or truth question.
Okay.
And we're going to be talking about epilepsy. And so epilepsy only happens when someone is flashing lights or strobe lights are all around us.
That's a myth.
It's a myth?
That's a myth.
I really thought that, you know, because you know how when you are going places and, you know, you're watching the TV and, you know, they'll have those shows that's very flashy. They'll be like, okay, this show is going to trigger epilepsy. So if it is, don't watch it. That's how I read the messages when they come on the screen. So you're telling me that's false?
That's false. Yeah. Because there are other triggers, such as alcohol is a trigger. Let's see what else. If you're sleep deprived, that can be a trigger as well.
Yeah.
So I learned that for me, my trigger right now is if I don't take my medicine for a couple of days.
Yeah.
But as far as the other triggers, they tried lights on me. They tried alcohol on me. I'm like, yeah, give me like you alcohol. Okay, give me some juice. Okay.
Yeah.
You know, they tried that on me. Yeah. Because they wanted me to have seizures in the hospital. Yeah. And so they tried all types of things. Now I was sleep deprived. Now the crazy thing is when you have seizures, you want to go to sleep. So they kept me up. because they want me to have more seizures. So
Yeah,
there's
yeah,
definitely multiple ways that you can
yeah.
that triggers for seizures.
Yeah, yeah. I love that. And we're going to get more into that. So let's see. Um, a myth versus truth. Myth is if you have epilepsy, you can't live a normal or active life.
That's a
You
that's
want
a
to take
tough
this?
one. That's a tough one. I'm gonna say it depends, right? It depends on the type of epilepsy that you have. If you're and how often you're having them. That's what I would say.
Okay.
Um it is somewhat of a myth because depending on that, right? If you're having like grand mals, I don't know, 7 times a day, that's challenging, right? To live a normal life, like going out lifestyle, that kind of thing. Because 7 grandmas, if you're having 7 grandmas, there's no way, right? But if
Yeah.
you have, let's say you're on medication and the doctors have controlled your seizures, then yeah, you can go out and you can have a normal life, and you more than likely will not have seizures. And in my case, I have medication resistant, which means that they cannot find medication to stop my seizures. So when I do go out. I try to, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But there's always a fear
Yeah.
of, will I
Yeah.
have a
You
seizure? Will I
gotta-
not? So there's
Yeah.
definitely different perspectives on that one.
Yeah, and I love that answer. And on that note, audience, we are talking about epilepsy and how that shows up in sickness and in health. And sometimes you
I
can
got my
be.
shirt.
Oh, let me see. Let me see. Your epilepsy
I don't know.
shirt.
I got my
Oh, I
epilepsy
wear
shirt. I don't know
purple.
if anybody
Yeah,
can see it, but
I
there
can
we
see
go.
it. I wear purple. Yeah, because sometimes when you are in a marriage, when we are at the altar and we say in sickness and in health, we don't really understand what that means until the in sickness part actually comes sometimes. And when it does come, there are so many different things that has to be taken into consideration. Your lifestyle changes, and how do you interact as a couple when you learn that you are now sick with something. And in Kathleen's case, it's epilepsy. And we're going to get into her story. And, I'm excited because this process has been a learning process for me. Okay. Prior to this, I knew absolutely nothing. And, just doing research and understanding. And I'm like, man, like this is powerful because we don't think about this as a body of how much your life is impacted when something like epilepsy happens, or for somebody else it might be cancer, or somebody else it might be
Mhm.
something else. There's so many levels and so many various things that people can get sick with. We don't think about how that impacts your life. And so we're going to learn about it today. We're going to learn about it today. So before I go on, I do want you, Kathleen, to tell everybody a little bit about who you are, just so that we can get to know you a little bit better.
Okay, well, my name is Weady. It depends on how she wants to call me, but my name is Weady Kathleen Hearst. I am a mother of two. I have been married since I always tell people 12, but that's not true, obviously. I got married very young to my high school sweetheart. And I like to give a disclosure if I can with epilepsy. I will sometimes forget my words. Just goes along with it. Sometimes forget my thought. So if you guys see me kind of, like what was I thinking? That's why. But I have been married to my high school sweetheart Wesley since 2000. Oh gosh, no, 1997. I believe is it date. Yeah, 97. We graduated in 96, so we got married in 97, and we have two kids that are both done with college, and I do work for the federal government, which is now being furloughed, so that's nice. Let's see what else. I love adventure. I love adventure. I love to do it. I love to go out with my friends. I love to go out with my husband. I love, I'm just an adventurous kind of person. I used to have a motorcycle. And I unfortunately had to sell my motorcycle because of my epilepsy, which started in 2023. And so if Wes is like, hey, let's do it. That was our life, right? That was our life pre-epilepsy. And we had actually gone to the Daytona bike thing weekend 2 weeks before my first seizure. Wow. And so, yeah. And so, so that's pretty much me. I love to just be a part of people. I'm a people person. I try to always connect with people, and I usually do. And so getting epilepsy has definitely slowed down my life a lot. And so, but that's essentially who I am.
Yeah, I've always known, you for, being that people person, that adventurous person, and all of that, because you are always full of excitement. One thing Kathleen gonna do is be out. You was outside.
Even this past weekend, I went to the cabin, and I don't know if you know those cold water things that the people get in and they sit in. I don't know. Kevin Hart, I think, was doing it with the ball players or something.
Ice plunge.
But the water thing, and I couldn't help it. I couldn't help myself.
Who does that? Who's like, no, I
got in there twice.
And be cold.
I got in there twice.
Oh my goodness.
After After like a couple of minutes, it doesn't get warm, but it does, give you an opportunity to meditate. And so I took that opportunity being in the woods. That's what made me go back the second time, because I felt it the first time. I was kind of like, I'm kind of feeling like I'm gathering myself and, just kind of focusing myself. And so going to the cabins this past weekend was the point of that was for me, because of what's coming up, was for me to relax and, gather myself, look at the woods. I mean, when you're around all those woods, you can't help it. But I really wanted to make sure I took advantage of that.
Yeah. And so I want to, pretty much go into that, because, we're talking about you being adventurous, and I want everybody to kind of get a picture of your story. And so tell us a little bit about, your childhood and your health as you were growing up.
So, I mean, as a child, I wasn't sick. I was never like having any issues with anything. Not that I can recall. I remember having the chicken pox. That's about it. And so, I did have, like, in high school, I had parent stuff, we ain't gonna get into that. But, I'm Liberian. My mother and my father are both Liberians, so West African. So I grew up in a West African house, and with my mother and my siblings. And, for the most part, very, very, very healthy. I ran on the track team. I was, in high school, I was involved in different teams. I have realized that I am a team person. Okay. I love to be in a team because I was always involved in some type of a event, whether that was track or, moving forward with, like, I don't know, I'm trying to think of other teams. Even we did flag football in high school, and I was on the team because I was pretty fast. They just wanted me on there. Then they tried to get me.
Fastest runner in school?
Well, I was one of the fastest. Yeah.
I remember that. You were the fastest.
And I had to tell you, one of the coaches told Wes that he ruined my track career. He ruined my track career. But anyway, because I got into West, and so, but I'm realizing that I am a team person. I prefer teams than doing things individually.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And you were doing a lot prior to epilepsy, like driving and
Oh,
things like that.
oh, yeah. So I had my first warning of a seizure actually in February of 2023. I didn't know what it was. Very strange activity in my head. And so coming back, like I said, 2 weeks from that, riding, I used to ride a trike and West rode a regular Harley. And I don't know the name, Sly Guide or something. I don't know. Anyway, and we met with a friend down there. It was from the military because West went into the military, and after school, I should have said that earlier. But anyway, and so I'm involved in several organizations. I am a member of the Order of the Eastern Star. I am now a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha. Um, I have always just been involved. I like community service. I could do it by myself, but like I said, I'm a team person. I prefer to work in groups and work with people. And I know that a lot of times people say, "Oh, women in organizations with women," but I always try to stay on my focus, which is I'm there because I want to do service, not because of, any drama, anything like that. So I've always been very, very busy. Wes and I traveled so much as our kids were in college. Um, we have always been like that. I remember when Malik, our oldest, was one, we left him and went on a cruise. Some people would never do that. But here's the thing. We wanted to. For me, I don't know if him and I ever talked about it, but for me, I wanted for us to be friends. I wanted for us to stay friends because you know what, kids grow up, and you never want to be looking at each other like I don't really like you that much. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
we always try to stay busy and active, whether that was date nights or going traveling somewhere. I remember we called Malik one day and we were like, "We're gonna go to Chicago. Can you take us to the airport?" And we went overnight. And so that's just what they were used to. I mean, their parents just just going all over the place. So we
Yeah.
always had that friendship.
Yeah,
Always.
and I absolutely love that because that shows the intention of your relationship. A lot of people don't do it. They wait until the kids get
Mhm.
grown, and it's like, no, you need to be
Mhm.
experiencing life now. Like, why do you want to wait until you get old to start doing stuff? That's when you start getting old. You start feeling old, and you
Yeah,
can't move the way that
yeah.
you
You
want to
can't
move.
do anything. You can't.
Yeah,
Yeah, but again, I think it's important that you develop that friendship. And I think him and I maybe going to school or together, or I don't know if traveling with the military together, but a lot of times he was deployed, and we had to come back. When we came back, we wanted to make sure we kept what we had, and,
yeah,
and and the kids were always taken care of, so nobody called the people on me, but because it's too late, they too old, they
right.
old.
They old, they grown, and they
They're
are.
old. One is 28 and the other one is 24, so no, they can't do nothing. But and we always did family trips as well, so we tried to balance it out, but we definitely got the me and him time, big time.
I love that. I absolutely love the intentionality of that, and
Yeah.
that leads me to, like, I want you to walk us through that process because you're coming from being so active and doing so many different
Mhm,
things, and so
mhm.
moments leading up to your seizure, you were still being active, and so let's talk a little bit about
Okay.
when was your first seizure. Let's talk about that story.
So, first of all, I'm a huge New Edition fan, so let's put that out there in case anybody's watching. But that can give me some tickets. But but
Listen, no,
yeah,
for real though,
so
because I'm
and
telling
it
you.
was. Go ahead. What? I'm
No,
sorry.
I'm telling you, like, she is a real New Edition fan, and y'all, they've been tagging her. No, They've been liking your posts.
Liking my post.
They've been liking your posts.
Ralph Tresvant loved my post that I put on there
Yes.
about what was going on with me and why I couldn't see them in Atlanta. And Johnny Gill liked at least what he saw. I don't know if he liked it or not, but they see me. They see me.
Yeah,
So
they see you. They see you.
I'm gonna
I'll see her
I'm gonna
again
explain the
with some
story.
tickets in the hand.
So it was actually during the week, and it was rare to go out during the week because they were here like I think on a Wednesday or something like that. And me and my friend Vanessa, we went down to Atlanta. I drove us to Atlanta. Okay. And we had parked the car. We wanted to get something to eat. And we sat down, and I was talking to a guy next to me and to the restroom. And I so when she came back, and I was asking the guy, like, hey, is it taking a long time for the, food to come? And he was like, no, you're good. So I'm like, we can miss the first act. Okay. I'm fine with that. But I didn't want to miss my 6. And I think all 6 of them was there that day. Yeah. But anyway, so I when she got back, we ordered drinks. We had her drinks, and we had ordered an appetizer. And all I remember, we were taking selfies, we were doing all kinds of stuff. And so I tasted her drink, she tasted my drink. And that's normally just how we do. And so next thing I know, I wake up in an ambulance. That's the last thing I remember, was tasting her drink and sitting back down. Okay. Wow. I woke up in an ambulance, and she's in there with me. And I'm like, why are we at the concert? That's literally what I'm asking. Because I didn't know what was going on. And the lady in there said, sweetheart, you had a seizure. And I'm like, a seizure? A seizure? What do you mean a seizure? So I grabbed my phone, and I asked them where my phone was, and they gave it to me. And I called my son Malik, who was in Boston. And I told him, I said, they say I had a seizure, but I don't think I had a seizure. Not realizing, because I've never gone through that before. And this was 6 weeks from the February warning that I did not know about. And so I get to the hospital, they get me there. They're asking me, oh, are you, do you have, are you not drinking enough water? I'm forgetting the term, but are you not drinking enough? Are you dehydrated? There we go. Are you dehydrated? And I'm like, no, I've done bodybuilding competitions. I forgot to say that before. I was doing bodybuilding competitions. I'm very much into health and wellness, and I lift weights. And that's just something me and my husband did together as well. And so I'm like, no, I'm not dehydrated. I have to drink so much water that it's not even funny. And so they're like, any family history? I'm like, I don't know, not that I'm aware of. I didn't know my father as, at that time. And so, but I never heard of anybody talking about seizures. Malik had a certain kind of seizure when he was 8, about 7 or 8, and it was called benign epileptic seizures. But they told me specifically what it was. They said that he would outgrow it before he became a teenager. So I was like, well, yeah, I don't know. This just must be like but I didn't, like you, I didn't know anything about seizures, epilepsy either. So I was like, okay, well, I guess it's a lifetime thing for me. I'm gonna go back to regular life.
Yeah.
And I went back to the gym. Mm-hmm. We 6 weeks, literally. We lived life like it was regular. It was just like, well, dang. Well, they did tell me I couldn't drive for 6 months. Forgot that part. And so I was like, 6 months? Okay, well, I guess I'll be bugging West for 6 months. And so thinking that it was the only one. And we just kind of just moved on. I had there was nothing in my head that made me, no warnings or anything. So about 6 weeks later, we're at the gym, and I'm lifting pretty heavy because I'm not going to do that show, or I still that I can't remember if I thought I could still do that show because it was about 2 months out. And so I'm lifting, eating well and all that. And I'm at the gym and I feel something coming on and I'm calling him. And so he runs over there to me. That's the last thing I remember. Of course, they called the ambulance. And I end up in the hospital again. So now I need a neurologist. I'm being told this is your second seizure. You need to find a neurologist. So I get the neurologist, and they put you on medication. To try to because you've had two. If you've had two seizures, pretty much they now you have epilepsy.
Yeah.
And especially in some cases, because people that have seizures, when you go into the doctor, you do an MRI or whatever, they can see like if it's a tumor or if it's something else going on, they can tell you. I'm sorry, I lost you there for a second. They can tell you exactly what it is. But in my case, with all the MRIs they had done, they did it at the ER. They did it when I went to the hospital here in Fayetteville. There was nothing there. Everything was coming back negative. So that's why they labeled me as epilepsy, because there was nothing for them to find. So everything was coming back positive, like negative. So they just didn't know. So they put me on medication, and when they put me on medication, they would try one medication, and then 6 weeks later, my seizures were coming every 6 weeks. It was the strangest thing, and they're doing it again now. So every 6 weeks is like I'm having another seizure, right? So they put me on several medications. Usually after 2 medications, they are able to kind of stop your seizures, right? And then so you're not, with me being medication resistant, they had tried so many. They had tried like 4 or 5 medications, and every time they try a medication, it's the percentage of it stopping your seizures reduces. So it goes down to like 5%, 10%. So they're like, so
we're trying to do the best we can.
They're like, we can keep giving you meds, but after 2, usually our patients is under control, but you keep having them,
and you're on 6.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's crazy. You said something. You said that you could feel the seizures coming on, and then you spoke about you had an early sign. Like, what was that early sign for you?
The first seizure, I felt nothing. I felt nothing. The 6 months prior to that, I was in the shower, and all of a sudden I felt like a rush or something in my head, and I was thinking, well, it's a lot that happens after that, because after you have a seizure, you have what they call your post-ictal, okay, which basically means that you're confused and you're trying to figure out what is going on, and then eventually you go to sleep. Well, in the first one in February, I just was. You ever see that Spike Lee movie where people just kind of float? I don't know if anybody ever saw that, but that's how I did. I got out the shower. Wes walked past the shower, and I was thinking, I've seen that before. Usually, what happened with seizure patients is that they have like, either you feel like deja vu, like I've seen that before, or you'll feel nauseous, or I think those are the 2 big main feelings of like warnings. But in this case, I was in the shower and I did have a warning, and praise God that I did not fall in that tile shower. Because when Wes walked by, I was like, I've seen this before. I remember thinking that, but I had never had a seizure before, so I didn't know what it was. So I woke up. I mean, you usually get a headache That's kind of part of the post-ictal stage. And so after that happened, I got out the shower. I took care of myself. Came that I didn't do the things I said I was going to do in the kitchen. It was almost like I was like on floating on air, right? I was just walking down, and I had talked to my boss, and I had asked her, you know, I said, I'm not feeling well. I'm going to go lay down. And she was like, okay, you should go lay down. And then on Monday, I asked her, I said, when we were talking on Friday, did I sound funny to you? And she said, yeah, you kept saying you were going to go lay down, but then you never did. And you just kept saying it. So I knew something was wrong that February, but I was thinking more of like a mini stroke than see, because I never heard. Normally, you hear of seizures. It's usually not Black people. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I'm just being real. So the word seizure never crossed my mind. So I never would have gone to the doctor and said, "Hey, I think I had a seizure."
Yeah.
Because we don't. It's not represented in that way when it comes to seizures for us. Right. So I was like, okay, well, so I asked my sister the next day, Facia, hey, I think I had a mini stroke or something. But yeah, so the second time I didn't feel anything. I didn't feel any deja vu, even with the guy I was talking to. I didn't feel anything. It just happened. And then the ones after that, I am now feeling, because I guess I've had them.
Yeah.
So now I know, like,
something is coming.
Something is happening. Yeah. Something is happening, or and I've had so many different types of seizures. I've had the grand mal, which are the ones where you're shaking on the ground. I've had several of those. I've had where you just blank out, just kind of like for a couple of minutes, and then you're confused of like, what's going on. But I know now that I must have had a seizure, right? Yeah. Because it's been almost 3 years since that first one. So, so those are kind of like some of the
big ones.
Signs.
Yeah, I kind of want to know, like, you are so active in so many different areas of your life. But when you start having these seizures, what did that do for your identity?
Oh. Well, first of all, when the doctor told me that I couldn't drive for 6 months,
independence gone.
that was rough. That was hard to take, because I am a very, like you said, very active person. I love being around people, so I was constantly setting up dates with my friends, or going to my chapter meetings, doing this, doing that. So I didn't think immediately about how it would affect me when he said it, because I was just kind of like, I'll just bug West for 6 weeks, because Tammy, I thought it was a one-time thing. But when it happened again, and they said that I had epilepsy, I was like, oh my gosh, like, what does this mean? And how's this going to impact my life, my daily life? And I work from home, praise God. I was already working from home, but there's just been so many changes for me anyway. I kind of feel like, because initially when stuff happens to you, people surround you, right? It's like, what's going on? She had a seizure, like what? And my friend Vanessa, who was there with me. But it's kind of like when someone passes away, right? Everybody's there for the funeral, right? And then once everything's over, everybody's gone. And I definitely had some moments of feeling alone, and nobody understood. And another thing nobody understood was that, I had to take this medication that was making me feel so loopy and tired and just,
Mhm.
you know, everything just changed. Like, and honestly, I felt like I lost some of my friends as far as, and when I say lose, I meant like this relationship is evolving, but it's not the way that it was. It can't be because
Yeah.
I can't drive. I still
Mhm.
can't drive. And every time that I had a seizure, it would be another 6 months and
Yeah.
another 6 months and
Yeah.
another 6 months, you know? Yeah, and everybody has their own life. That
Yeah.
has taught me that, everybody has their own life. Everybody's not here to make sure that they see Kathleen. You know what I mean? I mean,
Yeah.
and I don't mean that in a
I
negative way.
understand. Yeah.
It's just people move on.
Yeah.
And I literally have had bouts of like depression
I was
about
gonna
it.
ask how it makes you feel.
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
going to see a therapist, about the seizures, and how it's impacted my life. I, it's been
Yeah.
very challenging.
Yeah. I can't imagine, just living life and living life as usual, as active as you are, and then all of a sudden, bam, like you're hit with this thing that takes
Yeah,
away all of your independence, secludes you because now you don't have a way to do the things that you want to do without, the ability to, use somebody else,
hmm yeah.
right?
And you have in my chapter, people would always say, "Oh, call me if you need a ride," and call me if you need this, and I have my husband and my son here, but it's that gets old really fast.
Hmm.
It gets old really fast because not because you don't think that they mean it, but in your mind, I'm just telling you, I don't know if it's the medication or what, but it's always like you don't want to be a burden
Right.
on somebody,
Yeah. Yeah.
and and then my husband and my son, like, it's they're men, so right, they're very purposeful.
Hmm.
So, women might be like, "Oh, let me go look at home or
Yeah.
Home Goods. I'm just gonna go
What
look
you need to go
around."
for?
They don't want to
What you
do
need to go
that.
for?
They
What you need to get at home good?
right. Like, what are we going over there for, and how long you
Mhm,
staying?
mhm.
I
Yeah,
so
it does
it
sink
was
in.
it was hard. It was
Yeah.
hard.
And so
So
I wanna ask about that though, because, when it happens to you, it also happens to your family. And
oh
so, yeah, so now everybody in the house is having to adjust. Let's talk a little bit about what some of those adjustments look like.
yeah. Mhm. Well, I mean, I would say, well, Jarrell here? He wasn't here the first seizure, but they graduated the next seizure. So Jarrell became my driver. Um, and I'm so thankful for him. Anytime I needed to go anywhere, but he wasn't as purposeful as his father. But he became my driver and he was so helpful to me if I needed to get to like a meeting or something like that. And I like to decorate, so I'm on the hospitality team for the meetings. So I'm always my AKA meetings, so I'm always taking stuff and dragging stuff, and he's always so helpful to me. But for Wes, I would say that it changed a lot more than it did for Jarrell. Jarrell wasn't here. Jarrell was at school. So, for me and Wes, you're talking about, like I said, 2 weeks after we were riding. I had my trike. He had his bike. I mean, we were riding, and for 2 weeks after that, because we were used to doing things like that. 2 weeks after that, everything changes.
Yeah.
And you
How
know,
did he respond to that? Hearing that now you have epilepsy, like, because I'm sure he's uneducated in it as well.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
like, how?
Well, and I still think he knows that I have seizures. He knows that, but I still think that he he misses what used to be so much.
Yeah.
that sometimes he forgets
Mm-hmm.
that I have seizures. I really do think so. Not that, I mean, I'm not saying like he's like, oh, she doesn't, nothing's wrong with her, but I think he just misses what
Yeah.
used to be so
Yeah.
much.
Because it's an adjustment for
Yeah,
everybody.
huge adjustment.
Yeah.
And and it's been so many things that, like, so like with some of the medication,
Mm-hmm.
you forget, right? Like I forget things. My
Mm-hmm.
memory is not great, so he feels that I'm forever arguing with him about, what I and I'm the one that don't remember, right? So things like that have led to some a little bit of a,
Friction, right? Mm-hmm.
some friction between us sometimes. And
Yeah.
I'm sure and a lot of times he's right, but a lot of times he's not. But a lot of times he's right, because the medication does
Yeah.
cause me to forget. And
Mm-hmm.
so I'm arguing with him about a situation
Mm-hmm.
that he's like, I'm over it, so that has caused that has caused some, I would say, some challenges within our relationship.
Yeah, and I can imagine because, unless somebody is a nurturer, nurturers are like it takes time for people to process, right?
Mhm, mhm.
And then if they're not
Yeah.
natural nurturers, then
Right. Yeah,
then for
yeah.
them to
Well,
all of a sudden become
my husband's a
caregiver.
Marine. He's a
Yeah,
Marine,
yeah.
and but let me tell you, but I know that this Marine would move, I don't know what you call those things, like the big rocks.
Hmm. Yeah.
If that meant that he had to get to take care of me, you
Hmm.
know what I
Yeah,
mean? He's
for
not a
sure.
nurturer, but he's also very protective
Right, that's the right word. And I think
of
it
me.
shows up for him, it shows up differently. It's kind of like the
Right.
other day. I know this is might be like a horrible example, but my 5-year-old, we went somewhere and it was in the car and he came out the car and immediately he started to run. And so I'm
Mhm.
screaming at him like, stop running in the street. Um,
Mhm.
but before he did that, I was like, stop running in the street, stop running. And then he started running towards the word and then I shouted it. And so
Mhm.
then he got mad and he was like, Mommy, you're mean.
Mhm.
And so it's like
Oh
one of
my
those,
gosh, that is
yeah.
so funny that you
It's,
say that, because I I have the same thing with my husband, where he's like,
yeah,
you don't listen. You don't,
yeah,
I know what's best for you.
yeah,
And,
yeah,
but for me, I'm fighting for independence.
yeah, yeah.
I'm
And
fighting
he's fighting to
for a
protect.
little bit of independence, because
Yeah,
Wes
yeah,
and I have always had a coexisting marriage, right? But for me, I'm like, can I just get a little bit of something? Like, I don't drive. I mean, I can't go nowhere.
yeah,
I can't imagine. I
yeah,
don't think he can imagine it
yeah,
being him.
yeah, yeah,
And I'm telling you, and the medication makes me sleep so much.
yeah, yeah.
I
And
sleep
it's
so much.
understandable. And then subconsciously they're probably thinking, even if I try to give you a little bit, what if something happens? And so
Right.
the mindset is always on, I want to give you a little bit, but what if something happens in the little that you have? And then that comes with something else too. So it's kind of like, where is the line? Like, do you find that there is a line? Is it blurred? Like, where is the line in, having the ability to do some of the things that you want to do versus not
Mhm.
being able to do the things at all?
Um, I, I'm doing some things. I am. I'm definitely doing some things. Wes and I, we go sometimes to, have some dinner with each other. We have a couple that we go to dinner with. And they're aware. She's in my chapter. She's aware of, so everybody that I'm around is aware of what possibly could happen, right? But, I think, you know, in, Yeah, I'm trying to think of my right words. Okay. So yeah, so I do a lot. I do some things. I'll go over to different people's houses. I'll do different things. I have friends that come here, they pick me up, they take me to breakfast, things like that, just to get me out of the house. So I'm in the house a lot. And I will say that, you know, what I think is, in addition to me fighting for my independence, I am there are challenges within the household right now that I am concerned about. So I, I'm in a lot more than I'm out. But I think, when you're going through something like this for 3 years that you never thought would happen, I think I think that, which is why we haven't announced yet, but I've decided to do my surgery, for tomorrow. I really want to get my life back because I'm missing my friend who is
Yeah.
my husband. I'm missing us being able to do the things that we used to do before.
Mhm.
I'm missing, because I'm telling you, this medicine, Tammy, I can't even explain to you how it makes you feel or the things that it will do to you. There's been some intimacy problems, challenges with us because of it,
Mhm.
because of the medication.
Yeah.
So, I would say I get out, but I'm in more than I'm out.
Mhm.
But and when you have, let me go back to that. When you have intimacy problems, it causes other problems, right?
Yeah.
Because you're like, now everything's like an argument,
Yeah.
because you know what I mean.
Yeah.
We're just not the same. We're not
Yeah.
the same.
Yeah, because I mean it's because you're so used to being free with someone, and
Yeah.
again, it goes back to how do we process this and understand what that's going to look like for us in the space that we're
Mhm.
in, because all of these changes, they are sudden, and sometimes
Very,
you're not aware
very.
until you're aware,
Yeah. Yeah.
and then it becomes, okay, well, how do we work through this? And
Right.
sometimes that
Right.
could be a challenge on coming on the same page, especially when one doesn't really understand how it's impacting you, and then the other is
Mhm.
really like I don't get it fully 100%.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know?
yeah, and I think for the longest time I went where I was like, nobody understands.
Yeah.
Nobody understands. Like,
Yeah.
and again, I looked at epilepsy as a white person's
Hmm.
issue. I did. I did. I remember when the ladies were up at Congress, at the Georgia Congress, and trying to get their oil for their kids. All of those kids were white. I
Hmm.
don't remember seeing one black child.
Yeah.
So, this is not something that our community is
Yeah.
aware of
Hmm.
or informed on.
Yeah.
And so I just got to the point of like, hey, I need to just start sharing my story. What am I hiding for? Like
Yeah.
like they you see somebody and they look like they're normal, right? And I think that's what happens sometimes with him. I
Yeah.
think maybe a seizure may not have happened for a few weeks, or he
And
just
then life.
feels like, and then it's like, oh, maybe it's getting better. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Or
So now
she's
let's
better.
do stuff.
She's
Like it's
better.
like that.
Right,
Let's go
right.
out and do stuff. You good?
Yeah, yeah, and
Mhm.
so I think, and to me, it frustrates me because I'm like, you don't understand, like, you know what I mean. So I think that that's what's leading to some of the other issues that we're having.
Yeah, yeah. And it's understandable. Let me ask you this, because now, because you're so independent on other people to do things, like, do you have to prepare them to help you if something does go wrong when you're out? Like, how does
Yeah.
that process work?
Yeah, so if it's not somebody in the house, they know. But of other people, I always tell them, I just give them Wes's number. I tell them what to do because I haven't had a grandma in, I don't know, maybe about 10 since last the thing New Year. was the last Grand Mal I've had. So they've gotten the right cocktail of medication, but I will tell them, like, I'm on medication. I used to have a seizure. There is a seizure operating plan or something like that I used to give to people. And it had like all my medications just in case they had to call the ambulance or something like that. But they would have that. And then, right now, because the cocktail is so good, the cocktail of meds and my seizures have reduced so well, I give them Wes's number and just tell them, in case something else crazy, because you never know with these seizures. I feel like
Yeah.
they're definitely,
Yeah.
um, they have a mind of their own.
Yeah.
So, but I at most, at least I give them Wes's number.
Yeah, yeah. Definitely understand that. I know since your diagnosis and everything, you kind of went away for a while. You went into hiding, right? What made you decide to say, okay, I am ready to share my story now? It's been what, 2+ years later?
Yeah, it'll be
Would you
in
say?
March. It'll be 3 years.
Yeah, so 3 years. So
Mhm.
what made you decide to say now, okay, I really need to share my story now?
Well, there's a couple of things. One thing, and I can't remember his name, escapes me. Sorry. Blake. He was a young actor. I think his name was Blake. And I was on one of my epilepsy pages. I had gotten on those pages and, just seeing everybody's stuff. And it's like, whoa, I mean, it was a lot. So, but I've been on those pages for a couple of years. So one day, I don't know, maybe about 2 months ago, someone posted that he had died from sudden epilepsy. I think it's stood up, so sudden, unexpected death due to epilepsy. And I think he was 20 when he passed away. And and so I saw it, and then I was like, well, why, you know, okay, we're sharing this stuff with each other. We all have epilepsy, or we have a family member with epilepsy if you're on these groups. I get it, but I'm like, why are we not telling
Each
other
other. Yeah,
people
other people.
so that they understand?
Yeah.
you know and
Yeah.
so I that was one of the reasons that I wanted to do it. And then for myself, I wanted to his story made me want to share mine. But for
Hmm.
myself, I wasn't hiding, and then I realized that I was hiding. I realized
Yeah.
that we were all hiding. We come into these pages and we share this stuff about, okay, yeah, oh gosh, it's been 6 months and then I had a seizure, and I'm very sorry to hear that, but share it with others so that they would understand what epilepsy is. They would understand what epilepsy is. They would understand what your journey is. I realized, with them hiding, that I was also hiding. And I had been hiding. I mean, I hadn't really. I mean, I tried to share with people how it felt, what was going on. People just didn't understand. They had no clue. They had no clue. I remember someone telling me, um, um, you know, you look okay.
Yeah.
You look okay. You
Yeah.
like what's like I remember my nephew called me one time and he said he didn't ask me if I was out of it or whatever, but he went and told his mom that I felt that I sounded like I was out of it, or that I was
Mhm.
that something was wrong, whatever. And it's the medication,
Yeah.
so I just wanted for people to be more informed.
Hmm.
I had to realize that so many people, family members knew, but most of the people in these organizations that I was in,
Yeah.
or that I hadn't seen in a couple of years,
Yeah.
I they had no clue. A
Yeah.
lot when stuff started posting on Facebook,
Yeah.
People were shocked.
Wow.
They had no clue.
Yeah.
And 2 weeks, I think, before I even the social media stuff happened, the countdown happened. Um, I had seen somebody that I knew for years and couldn't remember her.
Mhm.
So your memory, things like that. I
Mhm.
just, so I was just like, you know what, I'm done hiding this.
Yeah.
It's obviously, if I'm going the surgical track, which I
Mhm.
am, sorry.
Yeah. No, it's fine.
Going
It's
to
fine.
I'm sure we'll get to that. But I was just like, I am.
Mhm.
It's time. It's time
Yeah.
because I didn't know Black people had epilepsy.
Yeah.
I had
Yeah.
no idea. I mean, like you said, you've learned so much about it. It is definitely something. A lot of stigma behind it. A lot of stigma behind it. I can go right now and park in a handicap spot, and somebody will look at me funny because I look just fine.
Yeah.
I
How's that
look
make you
just
feel
fine.
though? Right?
I mean, it's an awful feeling.
Yeah.
It's awful feeling, but I feel like I watched I read the what is it the autism what I can't that's Epilepsy Foundation. Sorry, y'all, gave you your disclaimer. My the Epilepsy Foundation, and when they looked at those numbers, they said something on their page. They said we realized that the number of African Americans is definitely, there's
Mhm.
a huge disparity, difference between the two numbers. And they
Mhm.
recognized that, and they said that they were going to HBCUs. They
Mhm.
were they were trying other initiatives to get
Mhm.
Black people to tell their story,
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
get
Do
to
you
be
think
get
that
people
because
to report.
yeah, and I'm thinking like, a lot of people in the Black communities, right? And this is just random thinking based off of, ignorance. A
Mhm.
lot of people feel like, when you have epilepsy, like it's something spiritual going on. So when you're thinking like Black people, you think a lot of the reason why people don't report is because they're like, nah, that's associated with, oh, you got some demons or something in you or something like that.
Possibly.
So yeah,
Possibly, yeah.
yeah,
To me, there's a variety of reasons. I think access to care is probably one of the biggest reasons, and no access to care is what I mean. Like they don't have the insurance, or it could be different cases, right? It
yeah.
could be the stigma. It could be what you just said. It could be so many different things. And I mean, I'm telling you, sometimes doctors do not treat us in the same way as they do our counterparts.
Right.
They
Yeah,
don't.
that's
And
true.
my first neurologist was a horrible neurologist.
Mhm.
She was telling me some of the things. I was having a laughing seizure, which is a galactic seizure, and Wes actually. I was in the kitchen. I had opened up the refrigerator door, and I just started laughing, like
Mhm.
busted out laughing. And he was like,
Mhm.
What's going on? Are you okay?"
Mhm.
And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm fine." But like, to your point, the demon.
Yeah.
Somebody may think that that's a demon thing, right?
Yeah.
But he knew that something had happened. He knew
Yeah.
I had a seizure. And so he set me down on the couch. He said, come sit on the couch.
Yeah.
And so we told her the next day, I mean, my next appointment, hey, I had a laughing seizure. And she was like, that's not a seizure. That's just something else must be going on. That's not a seizure.
Mhm.
I've got rid of her
Mhm.
because they think a lot of times a lot of doctors think that Black people can take more
Mhm.
than anybody else,
Mhm.
right? And I have
Yeah.
my own theories on that.
Yeah.
But sometimes, so if you go to the doctor and a doctor tells you no, that's not a seizure, you go
Mhm.
back home, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But in my case, that wasn't the case. God has blessed me so much, to
Yeah.
get me over to Emory, a lot of people don't have that ability to get over to
Yeah.
Emory,
For sure.
And
Yeah.
so So when they tell you no, it's not a seizure, you just forget about it.
Yeah.
Go back home, right? And
Hmm.
especially in kids. I thought about it in kids one day, and I was thinking, all those years of like, do you hear me? Don't you hear
Hmm.
me? It's possible they don't.
Yeah.
It's possible they're having a blank out seizure. It's
Hmm.
possible it's happening to our kids too. It's not just theirs, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
So I was just like, gosh, I mean, I hope not for
Hmm.
my kids.
Yeah.
You know, seizures now, but I'm
Yeah.
just saying a lot of kids, they go through that.
Yeah, for sure, for
So
sure. And just thinking about it, because you've already spoken about it. The fact that you are getting ready to, have brain surgery. How did you
mhm.
advocate for yourself to even be able to get to that point where you are getting ready to do something like that? That's one. And explain a little bit about what this surgery is.
Mm. I needed to write it down, Craig. But I can explain it more than I can say the name. I'll say
Yeah,
that.
that's fine.
Um. So okay, when the neurologist I just spoke about, when she told me that it wasn't a seizure, I didn't quit there. Let's just say I got rid of her, and actually I asked her for a higher up neurologist in Kaiser, because I have Kaiser, and because we both knew that it was a seizure. And once I got to him, it was like a completely different story. He was still with Kaiser, and because I had prior to them even considering me going to Emory, I didn't even know they had a partnership with Emory. I had no idea until I had broken, I guess, displaced or dislocated. There we go, dislocated my shoulder. And when I got back, she said, we don't have anything else we can do for you, blah 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 blah. And I'm like, okay, well, I want to see a higher up neurologist. When I got to him, he said well, the seizure that you had, the laughing seizure, is actually a galactic seizure.
Oh,
He was the one in Kaiser that told me that. So how in the world, like, you have to advocate for yourself.
yeah, yeah.
You can't just listen to not, and I've learned in this process that it is the practice of medicine.
Yeah, it is a
I'm
practice,
gonna
right?
say that I've
Yeah,
heard them say it before, but it's definitely the practice
yeah,
of medicine. Okay.
for sure.
And when I finally got to, so he said he agreed that they had done all they could do at Kaiser, and he was a much better neurologist though. I got
Hmm.
rid of her.
Yeah,
I still got to write a note on her,
hmm,
because she dismissed,
yeah,
she dismissed me, and I did not. That's not when you're sick, not when you're
yeah.
going through this stuff. When my husband's telling you what he saw.
Hmm.
But anyway, so when I got to Emory, they basically told me, they were like, we don't, you're medication resistant. You've had so many medications that we're not, we're just not. We're gonna do uh, like a full workup kind of thing. We're gonna go the surgical route, and you can
Hmm.
decide whether or not you want to do surgery at the end.
How do if they don't know exactly, what's causing the seizures, how do they know what to do in the brain?
Okay, so after my appointment with the Emory neurologist, so now I'm over at Emory. Kaiser's pretty much like, okay, we don't know what to do with her. Um, I had to do a 5-day, 4-day, 5-day thing. Emory has a epilepsy monitoring unit.
Mm,
It's a whole unit full
mm,
of nurses and doctors and all kind of stuff. So I had no Kaiser wasn't going to give me any of that, right? I don't know. Maybe every hospital has it. I don't know. But anyway, so they said to me they wanted me to get off my my medications, and that they would see what they would want. They wanted to see specifically where the seizures were starting. So that's what I was saying when they were doing like the lights and the alcohol and all that stuff. That was during that time.
Okay.
They wanted they wanted to see. So then I think after like a day and a half of me not being on my meds, I started having seizures. But I started having grand mal seizures. But
Yeah.
But yeah, so then they could see, what area it was. That's why they realized it was the right temporal lobe.
Okay. So tell us a little bit about the surgery. And so for those of you, we didn't mention it before, but Kathleen is getting ready. By the time you listen to this podcast, we have already had it. But tomorrow she is getting ready to have brain surgery to, rectify the problem with the seizures. And so tell us a little bit about what that surgery is going to look like.
So it's a craniotomy, something. I'm sorry, I don't know the name. I gave y'all my disclaimer now. But essentially what they're going to do is because they have the idea of the region. They know the region of where they're going. Yeah. So they're going to essentially, I don't know if it's a saw or what it is, but they're going to cut from here to probably around here, and then shave some of my head, and then they're going to take out those brain cells that they saw started the seizures.
Right. Did they give you like a percentage of how?
Yes.
Okay.
60%.
Okay. So that's some good numbers that they're working with, because you're not.
Well, I'm going to be at like 80%.
Yes, for sure. That's the goal. That's what we're going for. And so how has your family responded to you getting ready to prepare yourself for something that's so big?
I think I know when we first started talking about, when they were taking me to what they call conference, which is when they've already gone through all of the testing and everything. Okay. And let me just tell your audience, can I go back on one thing that I want to say between Kaiser and Emory? What I did not know and is that the machines at Emory are completely different than the machines at Kaiser. The MRIs, they're different at Emory than they are at Kaiser. I didn't realize that when I was getting MRIs at Kaiser, they were showing things, but they were not showing things. The Emory doctor gave me he kind of said, okay, think about it like a loaf. Okay, so Kaiser's giving you the loaf. We can actually look at the slices. I had no idea that medicine was working in that way, right? But Emory's a research hospital. I can understand that. Okay, but I'm just saying, when people go to their doctor and they say, I need an MRI, I need this, I need that, ask a lot of questions. I don't know. I don't know. Try to advocate as much as you can for yourself, because hearing that to me was hurtful as a patient of Kaiser's that have been there multiple times for MRIs. So you're basically telling me their MRI is not going to show me what your MRI is. So that was very enlightening to me. So okay, and I forgot where I was at.
How your family responded.
Thank you. Okay. Wesley did not want me to have this surgery. They offered four options. Okay. One of the options was to put like plugs in my brain and something. They were just gonna like hit the areas. Um but that was not surgery. It was really just for more information on somebody's, you know, case.
Mm-hmm.
But they said sometimes, about 40% of the times when people do that, it it might clear your seizures. But my concern with doing that was I don't want to have to do this again. You know,
Mm-hmm.
if they already have enough information on me, they don't need more information on me. I don't want to do this and then have to do something else. You
Mm-hmm.
know, I just didn't.
Yeah.
So they said the three conferences they did on me, it it, it all landed with this, you know, with this secure sorry, with this surgery. Y'all know I'd be losing my thought.
Mm-hmm.
This surgery being the best.
Mm-hmm.
So sorry about my family in the back.
Yeah, no problem. No problem. And so, how do you feel getting ready to go into the surgery tomorrow?
Um, do y'all want to see Wesley?
Hey, Wes. Hey,
You come over here. They can't
Wes.
see you. Hey, no. The I don't know. I mean, I think I feel I have a little bit of a knot in my stomach. A little bit. I feel I'm nervous. I think the doctor has great bedside manner, so I really like that. And he also works at Children's Healthcare of Atlanta. So that gave me just a sense of calmness. And honestly, I mean, I think that all of this has been a way for me to get closer to God.
Yeah.
And or that closeness wasn't there.
Yeah.
Okay. So I will say that because I feel like more of a relationship now, um, I feel calmer about, you know, what's going to
Yeah.
happen tomorrow.
Yeah, and I think that's good that you're having that right now because God sometimes allows our circumstances to draw us to Him. So I
Mhm.
think that is beautiful. Um, Let me know this, like, what are you expecting after surgery? Like, how do you feel like your
Mhm.
relationship would be after surgery, your life? Like, how are you looking for things to change?
Tammy, that's a hard question because I ask myself that all the time. I have some fears about after surgery, uh, and I know, and which is, I guess, contradictory to what I just said. I mean, God and I have conversations, you know, about let's stop the seizures, right? Let's make sure that they're gone. But after surgery, I'm a bit afraid, because I don't know who I will be, and I want to be. I've prayed. God and I've talked about being the person that I was before, or better. You know, I take better. But you know that is something that I think about a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, when you think someone's going into your brain and they're going to take out some pieces, you just don't know what does that really mean. You
Yeah.
know, I know that they've talked about, okay, yeah, your legs won't be affected, this won't be affected because we're not on that side of the brain and blah 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 blah. But I still have some, you know, anxiety. Let me
Hmm.
say that. I still have some anxiety
Yeah.
about who will wake up.
Yeah. Yeah. You joke all the time. You said, I'm gonna wake up speaking what language?
I'm French, honey. Bonjour. Bonjour to y'all.
Kathleen gonna come back speaking French to
I'm
y'all. Y'all
telling
ain't
you,
gonna
I'm French, honey. Bonjour.
know.
Bonjour to y'all.
Kathleen gonna come back speaking French to
I'm
y'all. Y'all
telling
ain't
you,
gonna
I'm be speaking something else, and they
know.
ain't gonna know what to do with me.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, no, but I you know, but you know, I always have a but. Like I believe
Yeah.
that things will be better.
Yeah, for sure.
And
For sure.
I kind of said this earlier today. He won't come to the camera, but anyway, whatever. Um, you know, I don't know. I want the intimacy back in my relationship. I do. I want the friendship back in my relationship. And you know, seeing something. One of the options that they gave us was do nothing, right? Just keep the seizures going. But if I do that, I'm afraid that the intimacy would just get worse, and lack of intimacy would just get worse because, and then it's more of like a waiting game. Like we're having fun, and then something may happen. And so that's always something that's on my mind.
Yeah, yeah. And I can't imagine. And I know that, the things that you are praying for, the things that you are hopeful for, God has already promised these things, right? I know that, when we are facing something that we are not sure about, it always comes with a level of uncertainty. It always comes with a level of fear. But I just want to input this right here because God has you. He has kept you throughout this entire process. I know we were having a conversation the other day where, as many seizures as you have never been in a situation where you are by yourself. And that
No,
speaks
no.
volume to how much God has already kept you
Mhm,
throughout this process. And
mhm.
so, you don't have anything to be afraid of because he has you. He's already cradled you. He's already sent his angels before to even touch the hands of the surgeon. So you don't even have to worry, right? Go in
Mhm.
there with a sense of peace, knowing that God has got you.
Yeah, he's
You are
got
covered. You are hidden underneath the shadow of the Almighty. You are
yeah,
covered in his blood. You are healed by his stripes. These are the things that he has promised in his word. And so I just want you to understand that, I know you feel like you're going to wake up different, but you are carrying the identity of God. And that can't change. You have his DNA
mhm.
in your blood. And so you're going to wake up Kathleen. You're going to wake up better, Kathleen, because you have strived through some things, right? You have
Yes,
conquered some
yes,
things. You have overcome some things, right?
yes,
And
yeah.
so you don't have to fear, right? Because God has his hand on you and he has had his hand on you through the entire process. So I just wanted to share that with
Oh,
you.
thank you.
You're
Thank you,
welcome.
Tammy. And you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right.
Yeah. So are you excited for your life after getting back to the adventurous cat?
Boy, am I. Absolutely. Yes, I am. I
Yeah,
am. I am excited.
that's
I'm
good.
excited for 6 months to happen. I know Wes probably wouldn't ain't gonna let me drive, but that's gonna be another.
Let me tell you, I
Yeah,
absolutely love, and it's because I understand the dynamics of men and how protective they are.
yeah.
I absolutely love how protective he is of you.
Oh
I
my
know
God.
sometimes it can feel a little harsh. It can feel like, man, I just want my freedom a little bit. But he pays attention to the little details, right? Just how he
Well,
was
he
able
does
to
the
tell,
stuff
yeah,
that
I
I'm
know.
not. The
Just
stuff,
how he was
yeah,
able to even tell the neurologist, like, no, I know that something ain't right here. Like he is paying
mhm,
attention to every little thing.
yeah.
And just from watching y'all from chat, like you are his pride. Ain't nothing gonna happen to his cat.
Oh, I'm telling you,
Yeah.
because I have had some medicine that made me fall, that
Mhm.
was having me falling.
Mhm.
And so he leaves his work. He works in the basement, so he leaves his door open because he wants to be able to hear if
Mhm.
something's going on up
Yeah.
here. He is very protective, and I know, but I want for him to have his life back too.
Yeah.
I do. I want for him to have his, not just his relationship with me,
Hmm.
but his relationship, his ability to go
Hmm.
and be okay, you
Yeah.
know. The way that I would love things back the way they used to be.
Yeah. I think that, looking at the way things used to be is a great reference. They won't ever get back there, right? But
Yeah.
your life will be better because now you have overcome some things, you've accomplished some things. Now you know how to move forward, knowing that this is a condition that I have. Your life will be better.
Yeah.
It'll be
Yeah.
better. Like you will become more adventurous, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know
Y'all gonna do
how,
some
'cause
more
I
things.
definitely
Y'all
I
gonna do
definitely do am adventurous
exactly.
now. Yeah.
Exactly.
That's why I got in that cold plunge. I'm telling you, I was doing it.
Girl, I don't know who would decide to get inside just regularly. Only cat. Listen, we have been on here
Only
talking for
me.
a
And
while.
he's so funny. I heard him tell the guys, "That's why I got her. That's why I got her. She's bold."
Yeah, you
I
see,
mean,
that
so
man love his wife.
oh,
Okay, that man loves his wife.
I
He
drive
does.
him crazy, but yeah, I mean, I know how much time we have. I just, I really want for us to get back to where we were, and for us to, and I don't know how
Feel
much I can say or not say, but
you can say whatever.
I can say whatever. Okay. So, I think, slowly but surely, over the last couple of years, it's just been less and less and less and less. Like, let's just say, okay, kissing, or, and things like that. You know what I'm saying? And I think because we're so focused on um what's happening, like
Yeah,
the doctor's visits, and
yeah,
gotta go to do this, and do
yeah.
this test,
Of
and do
course,
this test, and
of
do,
course.
so it becomes more about that than it does
Absolutely. Yeah.
about us.
Yeah,
you
and
know
that's a tough situation because the brain is the number one sex organ that we have, right?
hmm
But also,
no,
yeah,
I didn't
but
know that.
also the brain also builds the defense mechanisms to protect you as well. And so your
Mhm.
body is going to always prioritize your needs based off of what your body needs. And so if you are in a state where you're always concerned about your surgery, you're always like
Mhm.
you're in a state where you are functioning off of the sickness that you have, and so your brain is prioritizing healing, and so
Mhm.
it basically shuts down everything else to even make you want to desire sex the way that you wanted to because it's in survival mode, right?
Yeah.
And so once you get out of survival mode and your brain realizes like it's okay, and
Mhm.
your body will reflect that, right?
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
that's a process because it goes with that, that hierarchy, Maslow's hierarchy need. Like one of the things that we need is to feel safe and secure.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
right now, your brain is saying, "I'm not safe. I'm not secure
Yeah.
because
There's
anything
something
can
off.
happen at
Yeah.
any given moment." And
There's
so,
something off.
these are things that I believe,
Mhm.
once you get to a state where you're okay, your body will begin to respond to that. I think the and what it is now is your body's just responding to the level of fears and concerns that you have with the current
Yeah.
condition of where you are right now. And
Yeah.
so that's what's creating the blockage. But once you're out of that, and it's going to be a process to let that fear go, because even after the surgery you're going to have that fear of, is it going to come back,
Yeah.
so you have to
Yeah.
go through that process of knowing that you are safe, and then your body will
Yeah.
begin to respond.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
And I mean, I agree with that 100%. I thank you for that. And I think it's also like I noticed some things like even just with body changing with some of the medications that they give me. You know what I mean? It's like definitely is changing my body in ways that I never thought
Yeah,
I will be going through right now. You know what I mean?
absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
but I can't say exactly which medication it is because I don't know because I take a few,
Yeah.
but definitely one that came in and was like, okay, no, we're about to shut some things down,
Yeah.
and
That's
that's
another
not good
thing.
for a marriage. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
understand.
so
Understand. But
so I'm looking forward to them to the healing, and I'm looking forward to them reducing the medications, and so that
okay,
things can get back to normal.
absolutely. And you know what? I'm excited for y'all when y'all do get that moment back. You know what I'm saying? Because when it come back, it's gonna come back with a bang. You're gonna be like, girl.
Yes,
I love
yeah,
it.
oh girl, I'm gonna
So
be
listen,
look.
listen.
You don't even know.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, I do. Sometimes, me and my husband, we be having the distance, and so,
Yeah,
yeah. So,
yeah.
but listen, we've been on here for an hour and a half. I do have another podcast to record, so
Oh, is it too
no,
long? I'm
no,
sure.
no, it's fine. It's fine. I absolutely love it. But I do want you to, share what is it that you want somebody to learn from this experience that you're having right now?
I want for you to learn that your story is important to somebody. It will make an impact for even if it's just one person, it will make an impact. My Eastern Star chapter asked me to share my story. We're doing a testimonial, and they asked me to share my story about epilepsy, and I was like, well, who wants to hear about that? Nobody wants to hear about that. And so when I agreed to do it because I was in the chapter, and they got like two other people from outside. Well, no, one other person from outside the chapter. So I was like, okay. Well, like about 2 weeks before, I almost didn't do it because I was like, I can't do that. I don't want to talk about that. Nobody wants to hear about that.
Yeah.
And so but I ended up doing it. And my friend Vanessa came, the one that was with me. And when I tell you I cried like a baby because it was the first time that I had ever like relived it and
Yeah.
talked about it
Yeah.
and talked about epilepsy and what I've learned about epilepsy, things like that. And so when I was telling my friend the other day it was in my chapter, I said that was probably one of the best things I ever did, even though I didn't want to do it because I didn't think people would want to hear about it, and nor do I think people understand, right? But you got to get them to understand. How are they going to understand if you don't share, right? And so from that day, I have been feeling better about sharing my story and helping people. Because the kid that I mentioned, the 20-year-old kid that was shared that day on that page, it lit a fire under me that I was
Mhm.
just like, we have got to stop just talking to each
I'm
other.
glad it did. I'm glad it did. I'm glad it did. I'm so glad it did because, again, through you, I have been learning so much, right? Just understanding how
Mhm.
much people are impacted by epilepsy. I had no
Yeah,
clue,
yeah,
no
yeah,
clue prior to
yeah.
you.
No
Um,
clue, no
yeah,
clue, because 1 in 26 people will have a seizure. One in
yeah,
26. If you're in a conference room of because I know you do a lot of like conferences and things like that. You know what I mean? You attend conferences. You speak at different things and things like that. 1 in 26 will have a seizure.
yeah.
So if there's 100 people, I don't know, 150, it's very possible.
There are a few of them. Yeah.
That I mean, you're talking 1 in 26. So
Yeah.
no one's people don't know that's the kind of information I want to share.
Yeah.
Just be aware. Just be aware
Yeah.
that it could happen. And do
Yeah.
you know what to do if it happens? You know, I, I talked about I think in one of my days that there was a friend of my sister Facia, her husband, that died about last year, or late last year, because he was at a club and nobody knew what to do.
Yeah.
They panicked, they panicked, and they didn't call the ambulance quick enough. They didn't know what to do,
Wow.
and he passed away. Young boy, late 20s. So,
Wow.
it's just, just get informed. Just know that the person next to you could be that person. You don't know.
Yeah.
So, and don't think just because I look this and people look the same that they're not going through it with the medication,
Yeah.
with the family drama, with other issues. You just don't know. It's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah. I
So,
understand
so
that.
that was my reasoning.
I understand it, and I'm so proud of you for taking initiative to be an
Oh,
advocate for your community. You have been received well, and I know that as you go on this journey,
yeah.
advocating for others, that others are going to receive you well, and you're going to help so many people. You're going to help
Thank
so many
you.
people,
Thank
and so
you.
I thank
Thank
you. I thank you so
you.
much, Kathleen, for coming on my podcast and sharing some of
Mm.
your story.
No,
I
I
thank
love
you.
you.
Because truly and truly, this is something that's difficult. In all seriousness, it is difficult, right?
Yeah.
To be in a marriage where you're thriving for, I didn't even say how many years y'all were married, but you've been with
Oh,
your
28.
thank you for
Well,
28
yeah,
years.
28.
And so that means, in your 25th year of marriage, right? Sickness came and you and your
Well,
spouse have been,
let me tell you something funny if I can.
yeah.
Wes and I got married. Obviously, I think it was 19. He was 20. And yeah, no, I was 18 because I had
Mhm.
just turned 18, and he was 20, and then he was 19. And I said to him one day, like I don't know, like a few weeks ago, I said, "Were you listening to those vows when they when they when they said like I forget all the vows, but anyway, but I was like, but did you listen to the sickness and health part? Because I don't recall it
You don't
being
recall
like,
it.
I mean, I
Mhm.
heard it, but we really going through it. Like,
Yeah.
did you think that they really meant that you had to take care? And he just be like, you're,
Mhm.
and I mean, but we got married so young.
Mhm.
We got married so young that I didn't think about it. I mean, you
Mhm.
never think that it would be that things would come your way. But
Yeah.
I was reading something that said, just keep living,
Mhm.
right? Just keep living, and then that
Mhm.
happened. So
Mhm.
I I'm thankful for a husband. That's why I always tell somebody. I said, when you get married, make sure you find the person that's gonna be in the hospital room with you.
Yeah.
It's not about the stuff. It's not about the wedding. It's not about this. The
Mhm.
person that is going to hold your hand when you're
Mhm.
in the hospital room,
Mhm.
take you to your appointments,
Yeah.
or drop everything when something happens. Wes had to fly to Austin one night because when I dislocated my shoulder.
Wow. Wow.
So yeah, when you're picking your husbands, pick the ones that are gonna, be there for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what
And
I
that
was.
he does, and that he does. And so I'm grateful for Wes. I'm grateful for your support and your family because they ride with you hard. They support you,
Yeah.
they show up, and that's one of the things that they do. And so, again, I want to thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. You
Welcome.
know how much I love I have for you. You know
Yeah,
that. This
I
is
love it.
thank you for
I
letting
love
me
it. We
share
probably
my
needed more
story.
time for this one. If I didn't have another one scheduled, I would have.
No, no.
But it's
We
okay.
will after the surgery.
After surgery, we'll do a recovery
We
one.
will do a recovery one.
Yeah, we'll do a recovery one.
Yes, we will.
Before I go, share where people can find you on your social media.
Well, I'm not a big social media person, but I need to get better. But on Instagram, you can find me under Fit Girl Cat. That's GURL Cat. And then on Facebook, it's just my name is Weirdy Kathleen. It is my father's maiden name, Ray, WREH Hearst. It's the longest name on Facebook, I'm sure.
And it's okay. It's all right. All right. So thank you again for tuning in.
Oh, I'm
Y'all,
sorry. I have another page on Facebook at it's Fit Girl Cat. Okay.
Yes, Fit Girl Cat. Fit Girl Cat. Yes. Yes. Love it. Love it. So y'all, I want to thank you for all tuning into this podcast because, we're learning a lot of lessons here that, marriages can sometimes go through things and you have to ride with the process. You have to be able to pivot because, God really does says in sickness and in health, and you never know what is going to hit your marriage, but you have to, have that bond and have God, keep God as the forefront because he's going to be the one to give you the strength to be able to carry you through to the next stage, to carry you through as you are going through your process and carry you through as you are healing. And so I just want to remind you all that God is in the midst of it all. He is there no matter what. He's going to carry you. He's going to keep you. He's going to cover you. He's going to protect you. And you can thrive even when you are going through sicknesses in your marriage. You can thrive even when things are going on. You just have to trust and believe God. And so I just want to thank you for tuning in. If you have enjoyed this episode, please feel free to like, subscribe, and share. And so until next time, bye.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Take care.
Thank you. All right.